Pedigree Joint Care Plus, proud sponsors of Pete the Vet.
Now, a Belfast court caused controversy last week after it ruled that a dangerous-looking dog should be put down. This despite the fact that he hadn't previously acted in an aggressive manner. A resident vet, Pete Weatherburn, joins us now to give us the background on the case and why it attracted so much attention from around the world. He's brought along 3-year-old Tia, who's a good example of a dog who could appear to be dangerous, but is actually very good-natured. Morning, Pete. How are you?
Good morning.
Tia looks gorgeous and is very docile there. Has just been sitting there feeling very comfortable and looking like she's enjoying the heat from the lights and everything.
Yeah. She's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier cross.
Which is one of the breeds that you must put a muzzle on if you're bringing out for a walk, is that right?
In this country, yes. Yeah. I mean, every country has addressed the issue of dangerous dogs in a different way. In this country, if you've got one of
10
specified breeds,
yeah.
10 specified breeds, including Staffies, German Shepherds, Dobermans, Rottweilers, and others as well, you have to have them on a lead in public. You have to have them muzzled. And they have to be in the command of somebody over the age of 16.
But then this is Ireland, so you'll see people who are under 16 with unmuzzled dogs walking on the streets. They don't enforce it.
Yeah, well, yes, so in Ireland, traditionally, I think the law is often interpreted. And sometimes there's no harm in that, to the extent that at least it means that the police and dog wardens have got a weapon, a tool to use against people who are causing a problem. They can say, you have to have that dog on lead, muzzled now.
Is it too easy, Pete, for people to get access to a dog? It seems like any gobbler can sort of say, right, I want a dog and I want that dog because it's the biggest. And you know, the majority of animal and pet owners are good and are decent people, but there's an element that perhaps this is why the legislation was rushed through in the UK.
Well, it's how to control that dangerous, irresponsible element is the question. What they did in the UK was that they decided, we're just going to ban that type of dog.
So everybody's included in the mix?
Yeah, so everybody. So if a dog looks like a dangerous dog, if it looks like a pit bull or pit bull cross and several other breed crosses.
Who's to decide that? Who's the final say this dog is dangerous because it looks dangerous?
Well, what they've done is they've drawn up a physical description of what the breed type is. So they'll actually knock on the door, as they did in Lennox's door, and they'll take the dog away and they'll measure it to see if it fits that type.
Okay.
If it fits that type, then they ask the owners for it to be put down. They say, we're going to put this down, would you sign this dog over? Now, if the people don't sign the dog over, they can apply to have the dog on an exempted list. In other words, it goes on to a list of dangerous dogs that aren't dangerous, which is a kind of funny anomaly, isn't it?
It is.
So to go onto that list, it has to be assessed by a behavioural expert who agrees, yes, this dog is not dangerous, it's a good-natured dog, is not dangerous, the dog has to be neutered, has to be muzzled, tattooed, microchipped and all sorts of stuff.
So who's paying for all this analysis? The owner, the pet owner?
Well, the thing is that often it is the less wealthy people who are in that situation, and they often do qualify for legal aid. So the funny thing is that in the UK, often it's the state that's paying for all this stuff.
We haven't really talked about Lennox. Lennox has had 50,000 likes on a Facebook page.
He has.
He's due to be put down or euthanized in the next 10 days.
In about 10 days.
What happened? What's his story?
Well, his story was his owner had registered him every year as an American Bulldog cross. He was a cross. She's an ex-veterinary nurse, and she had this dog Lennox as her family pet, and he lived there with another dog, a boxer, and with her 12-year-old daughter and her husband. They lived there in Belfast in a house and the 2 dogs, and he was in the back garden when the dog wardens knocked on the door, said, we believe you may have a prohibited breed of dog. And they brought Lennox out, and he was then taken away, and that was in May 2010, and he's been in police custody ever since then.
Goodness me. And they went back to court and the judge upheld the original.
And so basically
verdict.
They judged that he was the type, he was a pit bull type, and they judged that because he was a pit bull type he ought to be put down unless it could be proved to be not dangerous. And then they had 2 experts, one for the prosecution and one for the defence. The prosecution so-called expert said that he was dangerous. The defence so-called expert said he's not dangerous.
Okay.
He's not dangerous. So you have 2 conflicts of opinion. The judge looks at the situation. The judge decides that in his conscience he can't say absolutely for sure that dog is not dangerous, therefore dog gets put down. But like, I mean, how do you assess if a dog is dangerous? Yeah, so I have a little dog, Spot, who doesn't like tall men. So if a tall man comes in the room suddenly and comes towards him, Spot will bark at him and look aggressive. On the other hand, if a smaller, female, more gentle type comes in, he'll be doting and loving to them. So how do you assess if a dog is dangerous?
How does the law cope with that then? Where is sort of the happy medium about this dog is, this dog isn't? Or does it essentially boil back to what I said to you at the start of this? It's too easy to get a dog. Maybe owners should have to fill out a form showing that they have the ability, they have the understanding, they have the knowledge and the know-how to care for a dog.
I think that's moving towards the right direction. In Switzerland now, you have to undergo a test to get a dog. So it's a bit like having doing a driving license for a car. I mean, dogs are potentially dangerous, like cars are potentially dangerous. You should know, I think it's right, you should demonstrate a knowledge about how to handle them before you should be allowed to have one. I think there should be a tying together with dog license and microchip, so that it's compulsory to have your dog microchipped and licensed, and as part of the licence you should undergo some basic theory test of how to work with the dog.
Should you have insurance for your dog if he or she bites someone?
It should also, I think also, they should tie together the dog licence with compulsory third-party insurance. And that's not difficult to do, and it wouldn't be expensive because, you know, the vast majority of cases dogs don't cause any problem to anybody, so third-party insurance is actually very, very cheap. So that would be a useful way to move forward. And instead of just saying, we're going to ban big muscular dogs, because all that's happened in the UK is that people have stopped getting the pit bull type dogs because they know they might be taken off them. Instead they do things like cross boxers with Labradors, end up with a big muscular dog.
Not on the list.
That's not on the list.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help anybody. And it's, I mean, the tragedy is that Lennox's family are bereft in Belfast. That little girl especially, she loves her dog, and her dog is absolutely fine with her, and it's fine in the family, and they're quite happy to do all the things they need to do, keep it on a lead, have him muzzled in public, all that sort of stuff. And so he would present no danger to the public. But because of and it's been complicated, by the way, by all sorts of other stuff in the background that I'm not aware of at all. But the basic thing is that judging a dog on his looks is
kind of silly, isn't it? Very superficial.
And they've just introduced the same legislation in Australia, by the way, because a girl was mauled to death there. Politicians tend to rush in that legislation because they have to be seen to be doing something when a dog attacks a child. But whatever they do in this country, they should never introduce that legislation because it just causes mayhem. People just feel it's so unjust, and it just causes a lot of unhappiness.
I think it's a subject as well that a lot of people will be texting in on, Pete, and you're going to be online a little bit later on after 12. So indeed, if you have a question or a query, you can text VET followed by that query to 53131.
Pedigree Joint Care Plus, proud sponsors of Pete the Vet.